I got the Whitecaps.
Yeah, I've never seen him before.
Boom. Drake, we're going. How
Here we
are
go.
you?
Live, here we go.
Thanks for coming in on this rainstorm. I don't know if you're going to make it out. The basement might flood.
Might get a little floody. If temperature drops, we'll put skates on to get out of here, but
What a day. For some reason, does rain affect your mood, or do you stay even keel throughout life?
pretty even keel guy.
Okay,
Anyone
that's
that
a
knows
skill.
me. I don't like driving in the rain.
No.
Just, that sucks. I'd rather drive in snow than rain, but probably
bet-
minority on that.
Yeah.
Aside from that,
I
doesn't
bet
bother me much.
Being a ref, you have tons of stories about driving in winter. Not even winter, just bad storms.
I normally will not say the roads are that bad. A couple weeks ago, that rainstorm that we had, I feel like we had a storm every Friday for the past 3-4 weeks. Definitely a couple long drives in some snow, a couple white knuckle trips, you could say.
Yeah.
I remember coming home from Berwick once that it should be like an hour and a half drive and took closer to 3, a little over 3. But aside from that, made it home and then went back to Berwick the next day for like an 11 o'clock game.
Oh, the grind.
Yeah, because one of the guys I was with, he had to get back to the city for whatever reason. We carpool, right?
Yeah.
So it's one guy wants to stay. It doesn't necessarily work out that way.
Yeah. It's an interesting because you guys are a team technically. Like the reffing group, when you guys are together, like if you guys go on a road trip, you're there together.
Oh, it's honestly, there's some guys that spend more time with us and they see us as a family more than they see their own family.
I believe it.
Because you're going to Yarmouth for 3 hours there, hour before the game, 2 hours for the game, 3-hour drive back. I mean, it's 11-hour day roughly by the time you get back to the city. So
100%.
I don't know how some of the guys do it, but
I'm sure when you get up to the higher levels, though, you're flying there on a plane, nice hotel, little breakfast, heading over to the rink.
I haven't experienced that, but it'd be nice to do
I'm
that.
sure you've heard stories.
Oh, yeah. They definitely enjoy themselves. They're looked after well.
Yeah. How did you get involved in reffing?
The long story of it is did you play mini sticks when you were a kid?
What kind of question is that? Of course.
Schoolyard. Did you play it like at school?
Yeah, like I played in like the basketball cage.
Yeah. We would do that at BLT, Beachville Lakeside Timberley. And we were grade 3, I think it was. So how old are you in grade 3? 9, 10?
I'm terrible at this. Let's say 9, 10.
Like 8. Okay, 8 or 9. Yeah. So we would play mini sticks, and it got pretty rough. And our principal came out and said, look, you guys are hurting each other too much. Too many people getting sent to the office. Not doing mini sticks anymore. You're not allowed to do that. And if you tell any Canadian kid, they're going to be like, what do you mean we can't play hockey? So I made the proposition, the deal, if I referee the games, will you let us continue to play? Wow. So 8 or 9 years old, I go to school. I take my mini stick and a whistle, and mini sticks stay in my backpack that day. And I started refereeing this mini stick game that we have going on at recess. And the principal sat there, watched it, and was like, okay, we're going to let you keep playing. And we played for the next couple of years until mini sticks weren't cool anymore, but that was how it started. And then when I was 14, I think, was when I actually started doing it on the ice.
Okay. Is that the normal age around 14?
Yeah. I think now they've started doing it like if you're 11 or 12, they'll start to do it at the novice levels.
Okay.
But when I first started, you had to be at least 14 to get into it.
14 sounds about right because you could have someone yell at you at 14. You got to be able to somewhat handle it.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely learn quickly. You get a thick skin doing it. You don't really take anything personally. And I do think that, unfortunately, that is a big deterrent of getting people through it. Because I know that I started with 2 or 3 of my buddies that started it. And I'm the only one still doing it. Like, there are a lot of people that get weeded out, I'd say, or lose interest in the first 2-3 years because of that, I would say.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a shame.
It is, because it's a great opportunity. There's so much opportunity with it. If you just stick with it and kind of have to get through those first couple of years, because I would say that those first couple of years are definitely the toughest because you don't know anything. You're learning everything, and you're working with people that don't really do it for a profession or have not been involved as much, I would say, because you have the parents that are more heavily involved, more emotionally involved, I would say, too, because it's their kid that's out there, right? So things, I would say, do get heated, and you do take more abuse at the younger levels, unfortunately, because of how heated some of the parents get.
I feel like a lot of those parents feel like there's a lot on the line with those games, even though there isn't, but in their head, an Atom AA game is the world to them because you never know the Bantam AAA coaches in the stands.
I would say, yeah, too, and it's always the way that I look at it. It's their hockey, their Saturday night, right? Whether it's a Tuesday or it's a Monday morning, Sunday morning, whatever it is, right? It's their time to shine. It's their time for the game, right?
Yeah.
So I do see why. It's just unfortunate that it does deter so many young officials as well.
Yeah. What do you think came most naturally to you about the reffing thing? Actually, I wouldn't want to ask that about reffing because you start as a linesman, correct?
For the most part, yeah.
So what came natural to you about that aspect of reffing or linesman? Excuse me.
I think it was just my involvement in the game. Like I always played as a kid growing up and played right through till high school. The part that comes most naturally is just your involvement in the game. I find it very difficult to do if you've never played it at a higher, and I didn't play at a high level, I played high school. But if you haven't played at all, I find it's definitely harder. I would have liked to play higher because I feel like you can definitely, there's more things to learn, but I kind of had to not choose, but definitely there was a point where I was like, hey, I'm going to continue to referee and focus on this rather than go and play junior B. I did play a little bit of junior B, but not much.
Where at?
Brookfield.
Oh, yeah. I heard they got great fans there.
It was interesting. So honestly, there was a transition in between so I played high school, and I think it was a year, maybe 2 off of playing. And they needed a couple defensemen. So I had 2 buddies that played in Brookfield. Their coach said, find a guy who can skate backwards and carry a stick and bring him out. So I fit that criteria. I can check those 2 boxes. I can skate and carry a stick.
Has a pulse too.
Has a pulse. Can my specialty as a player was defenseman. So my specialty breakout was like off the glass and out. Wasn't making much tape to tape passes.
Hey, that's a great defenseman. Off the glass and
I mean,
out.
That was my specialty there. So played I think 6 games of junior B.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, and it was just more for the fun of it. Yeah. And I actually got a fairly good story. If it's not really a reffing story, but one of my other buddies played for Liverpool. And Liverpool's probably one of my favorite rinks to go and work at. Didn't really play much of anything, but they always get a good crowd. I think it's the only place you'll go and see junior B jerseys worn in the stands.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've ever been. I probably have been in the Liverpool rink, but I wouldn't know I was there, you know? We've been in every rink in Nova Scotia.
I think it's one of the better rinks. Like any of the, excuse me, the new rinks that they build should be modeled after
Liverpool.
Just everything about the rink's good, in my opinion.
Okay.
So it's probably my 6th or 7th game playing in junior B, and it's going to be my last. And one of my buddies that I'm playing against, we're actually living together the next year. Like, we already had the lease signed and everything.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have a fight under his belt, and neither did I. So it was like a 5-2 game, I think it was, in the 3rd period, and not much going on. Like, I don't think I'm ever really going to get this opportunity again. So I picked the puck up, make probably one of the best little rushes that I have made in my brief junior B career.
Yeah.
Dump the puck into his corner, and he's out there too. And I give him a whack in the back of the ankles, and he turns around. And I just kind of shake my gloves at him, and we just went at
it. Were you able to punch him?
Oh, it was like a pretty good fight. Like, I'm not kidding at all. And I knew the 2 guys that were reffing, and at the end of it, they were like looking at me like, "What are you doing in here? Why are you fighting him?" Like. And I was like explaining to him, I was like, I actually know the guy. Like, we're gonna be living together next couple of years. Like, and like, didn't make any sense and didn't comprehend it all. And like, it was a good fight. He'd say that he won, I'd say that I won. But I'm glad that's the way it is. No one went down. And then after the fight, I was like worried, like not that he was like beat up or bloody or anything, but just want to go see him, see he was okay.
Yeah.
And so I take my jersey off, take my shoulder pads, elbow pads off, off the ice, and go down to the dressing room, to his dressing room.
Yeah.
And there's a manager or some lady there who's freaking out. She's looking at me. She's like, "You can't be coming down here." Blah, blah. She
doesn't know your buddies.
She doesn't know we're buddies. Okay. And why would you, based off of what just happened out there? So she's looking at me and she thinks I'm going for round 2 off the ice. And no, I'm just want to make sure he's okay.
I need to lift home.
I need to lift home. I'm gonna get a whole drive home. But no, it was good fun. That was about the extent of my junior career, and
that's a great way to go out, though.
Yeah, it was fun.
You know?
Yeah.
Have you heard the story about me and Dudes fighting?
No.
Me and Dudes fought, and very similar story. He texted me at lunchtime that day and was like, I don't have a fight. All the boys are making fun of me. We got to go. And we ended up fighting, and I couldn't hit him. I had a couple opportunities to plop him on the nose, but I would just miss, and I just I couldn't physically. It's not in me. I couldn't do it.
I honestly don't remember much of it. I remember smiling at him for squaring off, and then you get hit in the face once, and then you don't remember much after that. But it was pretty much the same thing. The other guys had fights under their belt, and they were kind of making fun of my other buddy.
Yeah.
And that's the way it played out.
The first ever fight I did, it was in lacrosse. Yeah. And lacrosse was way tougher than a hockey fight, because lacrosse fight is a street fight. Take your helmets off, your gloves, it's a street fight.
Yeah.
So I always found it, I was like, okay, well, if I can do a lacrosse fight, I can do a hockey fight. But for some reason, I was more nervous for a hockey fight. But as soon as you get it over with, so much adrenaline.
So much.
You don't feel anything.
No.
You could break your nose, and you're like, I don't know.
No, yeah, you don't know.
Now, maybe it would hurt the people that break their nose. Like, well, you don't know what
I've broken it.
You've broken your nose?
Yeah, oh yeah. Not hockey or anything. Completely separate incident, but that happened.
You talk about that?
Um,
Reffing?
No, not reffing. I was surfing actually in Tofino. I was 13 or 14.
Oh.
And I was fixing the strap on, like the surfboard strap attached to your ankle.
Yeah.
And so I've never really been surfing before. So I have the board pointed out into the ocean.
Like towards the waves that are
coming
at you?
that are coming at me. And it's like a long 12, 10-foot board. So a wave comes and just pops the board and basically right. And like basically running into a wall. And it's banged up, but it is what it is.
There's a little
Dude, it's my party trick. Do you want to see the party trick?
Let's see it.
It just goes right in flat like that. And it goes over to one side too and not the other side. So it goes flat like that. I didn't think we'd end up doing this, or I don't know how we ended up in this part of the conversation, but it also goes like over that side, but then it does not go there at all.
Jesus.
Anyway, that's the party trick.
All right.
So we're getting comfortable. We're getting
I love it. All right, you got a broken nose. You got a story.
Yeah.
Couple stories.
Yeah,
man. So I don't even what. So you answered the question. The thing that came most naturally to you about being a linesman / ref was the fact that you already played the game and you knew the rhythm of the game. Is that what your answer was?
Yeah. And then it does come to a point too where they look at you, and I mean, if you look at me, I'm 5'8", not that big of a guy.
Yeah.
You get pushed more towards the referee.
Why?
Because for lines, and they want you to be bigger, just to break up fights and scrums and things like that. I don't think it's as important nowadays, given just there's less fighting in the game, but still, that's always an attribute.
Yeah.
If you're taller, they try and push you more towards the lines. I don't think they as much worry about it these days, but 10 years ago, definitely was more of a thing.
100%. One thing I loved about the mic'd up video that we did with you was your communication skills with the players. When I was a player, there's nothing more that I loved than having a ref that would talk to me. You know, even if I was like out of position, they'd be like, "Hey, look, man, you're too low. Get up high. What are you doing around me?" Like like little stuff like that. I love that, and I noticed that in you with the mic'd up video. You were great with that, with talking to the players, and even the goalie. The goalie like iced the puck, and you're like, "What are you doing?" Like something like that. I don't know what exactly it was, but you were really good at that. Did that always come naturally to you, being able to talk to the players, or did it take you a bit to get comfortable and show your personality with these guys?
Definitely a confidence thing. Yeah. And I would say at that level too, I've been working that league for 8 years, 9 years, maybe.
U18 league.
Yeah. So that's definitely, I'd say, my most comfortable league. And I know not as much now, but there's a group of kids, we kind of all came up together. Like, so when I was reffing, they'd be in Adam.
Yeah.
And then they were in Pee Wee, and they kind of we worked our way up together. I was reffing, they were playing. But it definitely is like just a confidence thing. And I do find too, it just keeps you more in tune with the game. And I didn't realize how much I commented on plays.
Until you watched the
video?
video?
I watched that video.
Really? That's interesting.
Had no idea. Didn't know that I did that. And like, that wasn't me doing it for the video, or doing it for the microphone. Like, I forgot after 2 minutes that it was on there.
That's the best. I love when that happens.
And that was just me going out there, having fun, and doing what I enjoy doing. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great too that you get to see these guys from an Adam age go all the way up to major midget. It's like the respect is there already between the two.
Yeah.
So this guy's been reffing me forever.
Yeah. And it's pretty cool when you get to the point they know you on a first name basis and things like that too. It just makes communication easier too. And I find if someone's kind of going off, if you just say them, calling someone by name usually snaps them out of it, or at least draws your attention, or draws their attention away. And it does help in that sense for sure.
I always found a good ref whenever I played was able to control the demeanor of a coach or the game even. If a game's getting out of hand, obviously the ref needs to be able to control it. And I always thought when I was younger, that's what a great ref was. You're going to let a play go here. You're going to get a little play go there. What were some of the things that you learned early in your career to be able to control a coach that's yelling at you, to be able to control a player that's yelling at you, other than giving them a penalty? Like, what were some tricks you had in the bag?
I honestly don't really give too many unsportsmanlikes or anything like that.
Yeah.
Probably have done it maybe a handful of times, if that.
Yeah.
I think I'm lucky to have the patience. And one thing you learn too is that you can't let your emotions control you.
But how long did it take you to learn that lesson?
A while.
So was there ever a time where you snapped back and like, what are you?
There is times it does happen.
Yeah.
And it never helps. Never helps. You can't fight fire with fire.
Okay.
It just does not help. It does not work as much as you may want to at some points in times.
Yeah.
It's not going to get you anywhere in that moment or down the road. You can kind of definitely build relationships over time and just let them vent it out and get it over with. I'm not saying it's the fun part of it or not encouraging it at all, but it's part of what we unfortunately had to deal with. And part. I don't think it's a good thing. It's a part of the game, but it's a part that you have to learn to manage and have to learn to work with it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You either have it or you don't. I think you got to be a different breed to be able to do what you do, man. I think at least.
And there's even different kind of breeds among us. Like there are some guys that are a little bit more chirpy and will give it back, and there's some guys that aren't. It's just kind of the way you're wired, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome. That was a great answer. Biggest challenges compared to U18 to the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League.
I've only done one Quebec League game.
Okay.
And it was a preseason game. And that was a pretty cool opportunity to get that because it was the one game that I've ever worked with my dad. So like
He was telling me about that.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. It was probably one of the cooler moments. I'm tying my skates in the dressing room before the game. And it was just like an interim thing. Like it was just for one game. So I'm wearing like my Hockey Nova Scotia jersey. And all the other guys have their Quebec League jerseys on and have numbers and names on the back. And I definitely stuck out like a sore thumb. But it was pretty cool because I'm tying my skates there and I can hear my dad announce like the officials for the game. And he said my name. So it's definitely a pretty cool moment. But I would say comparing the AUS, because I do quite a bit of AUS.
Okay.
Biggest difference between that and major or U18 is just the speed. The speed is absolutely incredible difference. And especially too, like there's a pretty good jump from U18 to junior B, then junior B to junior A. And then for me, the next level is AUS. Like there's 2 or 3 levels of hockey that should be in between there.
Those are grown men.
Yeah, it's a massive difference.
Yeah. And you got to keep up with it. So when you're a ref, you're in the corner all the way to the red line. You don't go past the other end.
You kind of go from goal line to far blue line for the most part.
Goal line to far blue line. So you're covering a lot of ice.
Yeah.
Your head has to be on a swivel, especially when the play is so quick.
Yeah, you'd really learn to build trust with your defenseman. That's what I find is one of the hardest things to learn to do too. If you're the referee that's in the neutral zone there and that defenseman's walking the line, you really need to learn to trust them and like because they put it in the shin pads and you're both screwed because it's pretty much going the other way and you're turning the chase. But learning to trust the defenseman too and kind of read the defenseman as well.
Yeah.
Like I played defense, so learning to kind of how you hold a gap as a defenseman, kind of doing the same thing as a referee to hold a gap between the play.
I feel like that's a fundamental of reffing is just getting out of the way. Like I feel like it's the easiest thing to say, but it's an extremely tough thing to do. Like if you're in the corner and there's a scrum going, you're essentially just going to the opposite side every time there's a scrum.
Yeah.
But that's not easier said than done.
It's definitely it's funny because I know a couple buddies that have gotten into reffing or just, I wouldn't say they got into reffing, but have done like a little bit here and there that have played and they're like, I don't know where to stand.
Yeah.
Like that's it. They just don't know where to stand, don't know where to be, don't know where to go.
But I feel like the answer. Oh, sorry, you go. You know the answer.
It's and it's learning. It's not. You can't just walk up and do it right away. Like you learn things along the way, and you take different approaches and habits, good and bad, sometimes that help it and hinder it. But it is a learning process, and you're always adjusting and fine tuning things.
And the quicker the game, I'm assuming the quicker the decision making has to be.
Yeah, it's honestly like gut instincts. Sometimes you don't really have much time to think or time to process it. It's you have that one shot, that one moment, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that have different calls from the stands or different people that watch the video 2 or 3 times and say, how could you miss that? But it does happen. You never want it to happen, but when it does, you just take it, learn from it, and try not to let it happen again.
When you talk to scout refs, what are some things that they're looking for?
I think the biggest thing, and one of the biggest things, is just your skating ability.
Oh, yeah?
Because if you can't put yourself in the position to get there, then that's half the battle is putting yourself in the position to get there for the call, right? Another thing too that can't really be taught is like just your presence and your demeanor, like you said.
Confidence,
and that goes quite a long way. I can't remember where someone told me this, but it was a while ago. It was like you have 2 people that kind of walk into the room. One guy's, I guess you can look at it 2 different ways. Just the way they carry themselves. Like if you have their chest up, head up, and everything like that, like it does. The way that you're polished and the way that you present yourself has a big difference as well too.
Interesting. Same thing as a hockey player too. You say it's a matter of skating. Hockey is 50% skating. Yeah. You got to get there. You want to beat the guy that has the puck.
Yeah. And the other thing too is kind of like your body. I guess another like analogy is like your body language too. They'll always kind of like if a player's having a tough game. I think they were giving McDavid a bit of a hard time for it a couple weeks, like his body language and stuff off the ice. So I feel like that's a little bit of it too. But.
Yeah, body language is a tough thing sometimes if you're not completely aware of it. If you are having a shit game, it can be tough.
For sure.
Yeah. moving up into other levels as a career potentially. You know, I know you work at Deloitte, correct?
That was a couple careers ago.
Oh, was it? I was looking
Yeah.
I was looking at your LinkedIn.
Oh, that's like it's a bit of a running joke. One of my buddies sends me this. He like sends me every year, and I've never bothered to go in and update it.
Yeah,
I'm not big on social media at all of any kind. So I guess, yeah, I worked at Deloitte, and then I was not a fan of that.
Okay.
I went to school, like studied accounting, doing my CPA,
Okay.
but I just knew it was not for me. So it was pretty scary, I guess you could say, of getting into a career type job that you think you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, but
Yeah.
realizing it's not for you.
So it's full time for you right now.
I work for Manulife on the
Okay.
insurance side of the business.
Okay.
Really enjoy that. It's started in May, so I haven't been doing it
Okay.
too long.
Yeah.
It's 9 months roughly.
Yeah.
Been doing that, and I mean, it's a little bit different now because it's been COVID for the past 2 years, so
Working from home.
working from home, not the most enjoyable thing, but
Yeah,
That's
you
what-
and everyone else.
what we're working with now.
Look at this, working from home. Everyone got the studio.
Yeah, works well.
Everyone's working from home. Well, the question was, like, at what point does an individual who's in the reffing world go, okay, this is a full-time thing now? Is it only in the NHL, or can you do it at the Q level? Can you do it at the AHL level? What point does a guy have to go, I'm going to do this full-time now?
Not at the queue. I don't know of any guys that are in the queue and do it full time. Most of them, I'd say all of them, have other jobs that they do or day jobs.
Okay.
Some of the AHL guys, I'm not sure if they go down and only pursue officiating or if they're still working kind of part-time jobs, or I think they'll come home and work a job during the summer. But I think you'd have to be at least AHL to kind of full-time. And that may not be for everyone. Like some of them may be full-time, some of them may be part-time as well. It all kind of depends.
Oh, yeah. So you have to make that career choice at some point, though.
Yeah, and it's not like reffing is never a job you ever apply to. Like I've never submitted a job. No, it's not the way it works. It's just kind of if they will come and find you. So you basically just kind of keep your nose to the grindstone, keep chipping away, and like I've never applied to anything for reffing really in my life.
No way. So if it happens, it happens type thing.
Yeah, if they come and they will if you're good enough and if they need you, they want you, they'll come find you.
I like that. Yeah, that's you don't really see that in any form of business anywhere.
No.
Most people have a resume and apply.
Yeah, and I don't know. I might be speaking off term. I might be the only
Well,
guy that's
no,
like
it's-
that, but I haven't, and I don't know of many other guys that have. It might be different in other parts of the country, but at least around here, that's not kind of the way it works.
I like that. But I feel like there's a code among refs around here. Maybe like an unspoken thing.
In what sense?
Just maybe that's it. You don't apply. You're asked. If you want to move up, you have to work your butt off for it. You can't really ask for things.
Yeah, and I've never asked. I know I've been given a lot of opportunity. I was very fortunate in the sense that I worked into a lot of the leagues when they started going to the 4 official system.
Yeah.
So that definitely helped a lot because I was only primarily used as a referee. So it pretty much doubled the amount of referees they need in the jobs that were available when I was coming up.
Interesting. Because I know some people that like worked around here and they're like, I could be doing this, I could be doing that, and it was like, hey, I don't know the reffing world.
Yeah, it's the
If you're good to the game, the game's good to you, I guess.
And I think it's just persistence, just sticking with it, and it's something that I enjoy doing and something I will do.
Yeah.
As long as I'm able to.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's great to have a passion like that, and it's not really like a job. It's just something you do for fun, and you could turn it into a career.
Oh, that'd be awesome if I could, and hope to do that one day, but just keep doing it and enjoying the ride for now.
Any puck injuries? You ever get hit with a puck?
Yeah, there's a couple. Nothing too bad. I don't think I've ever had stitches from a puck. There was once I got hit, like kind of just right below the sternum. Like it was a high school, honestly, and I can say this because I played high school. High school is the worst for getting hit with pucks and whatnot.
Because they don't put their head up.
They don't put their head up. They don't lift their head up. I never did. Like I said, off the glass and out. They don't really pick their head up. Junior A and Junior B, you can trust them a bit more. AUS, you can literally give them like half a foot behind you, and they'll thread the needle with it. It's nice to be able to trust them like that.
Yeah.
And at the higher levels too, if you get hit with a puck, they generally come over and apologize.
Yeah.
The high school levels, it's what are you doing staying in the way? And this one was just like it wasn't anyone's fault. Like it was a face off in the end zone, penalty kill. So the shorthand team won the puck back. Defenseman just head down, slaps it. I'm standing at center ice. I'm not even looking. Like the puck came off a stick. I wasn't thinking I had to really get out of the way.
Yeah.
I just kind of put my arm up like this, and puck hit me like right below the sternum.
Oh.
like just in the stomach. And I'm glad it did, because if it hit me higher up, I don't know what kind of force you need to break a rib or anything, but it probably would have. And it was just doubled over for like, it was a really weird feeling. Couldn't catch a breath. Like it was almost like felt like I was underwater.
You're like,
yeah, could not breathe.
I know the feeling.
It was not a fun one.
No protection there either. You only have shin pads and elbow pads on.
The only
correct?
protection is built-in protection. There. That's it.
Oh, that would suck.
Yeah, it wasn't fun.
I learned through a mic'd up video we did with I think it was dudes, and then the ref came up to him and was like, "Dude, when you're dropping that puck, the guys are way too close to you behind. If they're close enough, they'll come in and they'll slew foot you, and you can break your knee." And I was like, "Oh, that's why the refs are always yelling, get back," because they don't want to get slew footed off the draw.
Yeah, it's when you see a ref doing that, and people always give the hard to the, and it's usually like the back line that does it. They're more or less looking out and protecting their partner than they are worried about the face-off. Because those guys don't typically have an impact on the play. I'm not saying they don't. Excuse me. Oh, but it's more or less they're worried about their partner and don't want their feet taken out. Mm. That's definitely a big part of it.
Yeah, when I heard that mic'd up clip, I was like, oh, that my whole life I had no idea why they're yelling at us to get back. But I guess you got to stay on the on the hash marks. But to protect the linesman never entered my mind my whole hockey career.
And that's the thing too, is the guys in front of you can see them visually, keep them back. The guys that are behind the referee, behind the linesman, they think they can get away with it, right?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
But then they got the guy at the far line going, "Up, get back."
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some things that the refs talk about at intermission in the dressing room?
Some guys are definitely a lot more intricate and will get into quite heavy discussion. Some guys, it's just it all depends. I always like to have like first 2 or 3 minutes in the room, like you're questioning anything or just wondering about what you saw and what each other saw, just so you're always on the same page. And some people there's not much conversation. Some people there's a lot more. Yeah, it always depends.
If you're on a road trip to Yarmouth with the same 4 guys, I'm sure there's going to be a little bit more chatter in the room.
Oh yeah,
Yarmouth.
Yeah, there's always a bunch of people down in the Yarmouth ref room too. Anyone that I don't know how many people will listen to that ref, but it's a revolving door. It's always an entertaining scene down there.
Why? What do you mean?
There's always people coming and going. It's got to be the busiest room that I've ever seen in a rink.
I know when I played junior A there, they let the fans by the dressing room. So you're out just trying to tape your stick, get a glass of Gatorade, and there's just fans coming up to you talking like, "What's up?"
Yeah.
And you're like, "All right, no, then you."
It's one of my favorite rinks to work in. Like, it's a long drive down there, but it's worth the drive because they fill that place.
Oh, it's the heart of Yarmouth.
Yeah.
It's a great little town, great junior A town. I remember like when I played here, there was no fans, so you kind of look forward to a little road trip. Woodstock was great, Yarmouth was great, Amherst was always fun.
Amherst is a good one.
Amherst was is it still rowdy there?
Yeah, it's one of the few like old barns I would say that you still get. There's not many old rinks that are still hosting higher levels of hockey.
The Jungle. It's a great rink.
I like it. I'm a fan of it.
I remember we went there once, and they were done O Canada, and after O Canada, they gave away a washing machine, and they had to bring the washing machine out into the middle of the ice, do a raffle ticket, and bring it back. And we were sitting there on the bench. Our legs are cold. We're like, can't you give the washing machine out at intermission? Like, it's not the time. Right after O Canada.
Did they put the ballots in the washing machine, or what was the point of that?
They brought the bingo thing out and spun it like 8, 7, 2, 4, and Kathy up, and I got it. It's me. And we're just like, all right. So then, what's the thing called when you a pallet jack? The thing.
Yeah.
So they had to roll it out and roll it back. It took like 12 minutes, and we're sitting there just, what are we doing? That's oddly enough a memory I have from that rink.
When the Fred Page Cup was there, was it 2018 maybe? It was before COVID, maybe 2019.
2019, I think it was, yeah.
I was used as the standby official for that game, or for that series, or for the tournament.
Okay.
So every game I was there, and I had my referee jersey, my linesman jersey there, and I was there in case anyone went down. Thankfully, it was never used, never brought into action, but we'd buy tickets for 50-50.
Yeah.
And the very first game I'm there, and I'm buying 50-50 tickets for the guys on the ice, and the lady asked me for my ID. And I kind of just looked at her and was like, seriously? And showed her my ID. She sold me the tickets, and we ended up winning the 50-50.
No.
So we won like $1,200. And she comes back, and she's like, there's no way you won. And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, what? I think I gave a fake name because I didn't want them to know the refs won. Because I have heard of stories where the refs buy 50-50 tickets, and whoever the announcer was, and my dad ever did this, I bury him. But like they announced that the referees won the 50-50 and the place just started booing, throwing stuff on the ice. It was not a good scene.
Oh, I bet that's terrible. That's I know stories of like junior A teams, like they'd have no money, right? So they do 50-50. And they'd get the goalie to pick the winning number, the backup goalie sitting on the bench, and they just slip him the winning ticket just so the team could get money. Like, but it would be under a fake name.
Yeah,
there's some greasy stuff out there.
There's a couple rinks where they get the referee to pick the 50-50 number. Like you're out there skating your lap to start the period, and they come out and shake the basket at you, and you go over and pick the number.
I love it. 50-50. I love junior A barns. Picto's another one that I always enjoyed going to. The fans got rowdy there.
Was it the Brother John? Was that the old one? Or?
Yeah, the old one. Correct.
Yeah, I've never been a part. I might have played there in Bantam, but I've never worked a game in that old rink.
Oh, my first playoff fight was there, I remember. And just as soon as I got kicked out, the fans were yelling. At the time, you're pissed, but on the bus ride home, you're happy. You're just in the middle of it. It was a great, great atmosphere. Some of the barns in Nova Scotia are unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
The old one in Truro is pretty fun too.
Oh, with the square behind the net as you walk in. We live stream there. I should know the name of it. But that's a nice
Colchester.
That's it, Colchester.
I'm not sure.
No, that's a great one. Growing up, your old man had a pretty cool job. Still does.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Go to a lot of games.
Yeah.
Always would try and tag along as much as you can.
Yeah.
And I'd say it probably helped, like, in terms of my officiating as well, because when I was first starting out, and it's still to this day, I don't enjoy watching hockey as much as I used to, because I find I'm always in that kind of officiating mindset. So when I was younger, going to Mooseheads games, I got to be watching those guys. And it's cool now because I'm working with them on the ice too. So it's definitely was a big learning curve, and you would take what you see at that level and try to apply it with myself and carry it forward at the lower levels as well.
Where did you sit when you went with your dad, or did your mom went too? Like, how did that work?
We were usually, for the most part, in section 26.
I haven't been in there in such a long time.
It's like the Zamboni end to the right side.
Okay.
And sat there for the most part. And since I've kind of worked my way up into the higher levels of hockey, like most of your games are Friday, Saturday nights, right?
Yeah.
And same with the Mooseheads. So I haven't gone to near as many games in the past little bit.
Do you have any memories of going in the actual PA announcer box in between the penalty box with him?
Oh, yeah. He wasn't always down at ice level. He's only been down at ice level, I'd say, the past, since he took over for Pat Conley. So 2010, maybe.
So where was he before?
He used to be up top.
The press box.
The press box, and it wasn't always there actually. I mean, he moved around a little bit, but definitely some memories of being up there. And a couple times I was younger, like 13, 14, he'd let me do the music for some of the preseason games. That was cool too, and he'd be the one announcing, but only that a couple times.
Did you get to pick the music?
Oh yeah,
that's sick.
There was once too. I actually, you know how he told the story of he had like McKinnon and Drouin, and I can't remember who else coming back from the pizza shop at Acadia.
Yeah, yeah.
They needed someone to be Hal that game.
There's always random stories about someone being Hal.
It was pretty cool, but it's probably one of the grossest experience ever, because you're literally wearing someone else's hockey gear. Like the costume is basically hockey gear with a big bobblehead on top. And it's pretty gross. Like I showered 2 or 3 times afterwards, and you can still smell it. And I've never been in the Acadia rink before, and only a couple times since then, and I got lost walking around underneath. Yeah. And I got too hot and too sweaty with the full mascot thing on, so I took the hat off, or took the head off, or whatever you want to call it, walking around. And I see this like 6 or 7 year old kid, and they see Hal walking around. They were petrified. They thought it was like some real, I don't know what they thought it was, but they were mortified. I ruined Hal for that poor kid.
That's amazing. The kid still thinks about that.
Oh yeah, just absolutely ruined the experience of mascots for the rest of their life.
So it was a sweaty mascot. Sweaty.
Yeah.
You get paid?
Probably. I don't remember. $50 maybe.
Not worth it, whatever it was. That's incredible.
Yeah.
You always hear a random story pop up about the guy who's actually supposed to be Hal calling in sick, and they need a quick... Like, I know a guy who was at the Moosehead game. He was already, like, a couple beer in. He was just going to, like, be a fan. And they're like, hey, man, are you coming to the game tonight? And it's like, yeah, but I'm having a beer already. He's like, we'll give you this much to be Hal tonight. And you're like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Just a couple, like, random stories about it.
Oh, it'd be fun. And, like, I wish it'd be far more fun now to do, because I was probably 15, 16 when it did it. So you're just kind of not really sure what you're doing.
Did you fill it out?
Probably not.
15, 16.
But it'd be more fun to do it now. Like, you'd just have more confidence and go and mess with people. Like, I remember, like, going up to older guys and just, like, taking their hat and putting it on the nose. And they're just, like, they just want to swing at you, but you can't because you're in a costume, right?
I want to do it now. It sounds interesting. What do I want to ask you? Oh, yeah, when you watch games, do you watch the game or do you watch the refs?
I'd say, unfortunately, I watch the refs.
Yeah,
like I don't really have like the fandom as much as I used to. Like,
I love your answer. That's an honest answer.
And
I
I don't like watching hockey as much as I used to because of that. Like, I can't really shut my brain off. Like, I'm always kind of watching the officials and critiquing the game and things like that.
Yeah.
Like I would say, like my dad, I am a Leafs fan, didn't have much choice. So like I'll watch when the playoffs come around because I don't really care what they do now. But I don't enjoy watching hockey as much as I used to.
So when you're watching a game, hypothetically, and there's an icing, are you putting your arm up in the living room?
Not like that.
Hey, it's all right if you are.
That's a liney thing, too. I don't know what the linesmen do.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, when they go to the penalty box.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely like, oh, it's a trip, and you're kind of like wondering if they're going to put their arm up and things like that, or looking at their positioning. And I guess I do get more interested when you see some of like the IIHF because they definitely use kind of different tactics and different positioning, too. Like the International Ice Hockey Federation. So when you're watching some of like the international stuff that isn't like NHL or isn't Quebec League, there definitely is different procedures and
what do you mean
positioning they follow. Like they have different positioning and different approaches to things. You can tell.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how much it would come across to the average person.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't know.
I'd pick up on that kind of stuff. And
so
it's interesting to see that stuff.
So when you say you cover from ringette line to far blue on IHF, would it be different?
No, they're kind of like they'll have different end zone positioning. I'll notice like they'll be a lot tighter than that, and I get nervous because like you're gonna get absolutely smoked with a puck right now. Like if there's a quick pass to the slot and they shot on net and the goalie deflects it wide, like they're right in the firing zone there. So things like that.
Yeah, I'll have to watch. I'll admit I haven't stayed up to watch any of the Olympics, but I'll stay up for one of these games and I'll take a look.
Yeah, I don't know how much it would come across the average person.
Yeah, that's true because I guess through the NHL I don't even notice the refs anyways in their positioning, so it would be tough to compare to anything.
And they also have different tactics too. Like they're afforded the availability of video review. So they're able to kind of not hide out in the corner, but they don't have to be right in the muck of it as much, right? Because if anything happens, they can go to review. So they're able to sit back and take in the broader view.
In the queue, do they have video review?
Yeah, I think every rink they need to have it. I've never worked anything with video review, so I'm not kind of at the level of that or don't have any experience with that.
That would be cool, though. You must think about that from time to time, that one day potentially you could have hypothetically, you could put your hand on a little mic here and talk to the rink and go 2 minutes, dripping, number 4.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have the reassurance and have kind of the insurance policy, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But, I mean, part of the fun is it's a unique job for sure, because I can't really think of any other job where perfection is almost perfection is expected. Like people, like it's not like you're allowed to have a couple missed calls tonight. Like people expect and demand perfection every game.
Do you think the overall conclusion of a ref is a little offended by the replay, by video review? It's like, okay, I called it a goal, but then we go to Toronto, now they call it no goal. It's like, does that make a ref look bad? Yes or no? What do you think their overall?
I don't think it does. I'm a humble guy, so I feel like it would be, as long as we get it right, I'm okay with it. I can live with it at the end of the day. As long as we get it right, that's all that would really matter to me. Mm-hmm. And it's easy for me to say that because I've been in that situation before. Yeah. But, I mean, I'm sure there are some guys that would get upset if something gets overturned. But at the end of the day, everyone and every ref would say they just want to get it right.
Even if it's not them getting it right, though?
It's a good question.
I know I'd be kind of embarrassed or not. I thought that was a goal, but it goes to Toronto and now it's no goal. I don't know.
I've noticed that too on some of like other mic'd up videos I've watched at that level. Like it will be the coach will ask them, "Is that you calling it a goal or is it Toronto calling it a goal?" And depending on the response, the coach will. I feel like some of the refs might say, "Oh yeah, it was Toronto called it."
Toronto called it. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not at that level, but that's just what they've said, and that's probably honestly what it is. Like they're probably I'd say Toronto does have the call majority of the time, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I really don't have anything else to say to that. It's just gonna be. It's part of the game. You can't change it. looking forward. It's going to be there no matter what.
Are you into baseball much?
I am, yeah. I'm very aware of that conversation about the umpires and things going on.
They did. Did you see what they did at the AAA level with the automatic strike zone or the robotic strike zone?
Yeah, they did a test trial with. We had Jake Sanford in here a couple months ago, and he had a game, and they were doing that actual. I don't think they did it for the whole season, but for a couple games, they tested it out.
Yeah,
he said it was weird.
Yeah, it didn't look like it worked that well.
Well, it's a game that's been around for.
Yeah.
I don't even know how long baseball's been around, but the rules haven't changed ever. And to be able just to come in and not have certain things put in place.
Yeah, it'd be different for sure.
Very different. There's something about a human element of a guy calling you out, a ball, strike. I don't know. It's part of the game.
Yeah.
You need it.
You need Joe West in there, even though he just retired.
He did just retire, didn't he?
Yeah.
Was he the ref that called the guy out at first when he had a no-hitter?
No.
In Detroit?
That was Jim Joyce, I believe. I don't know, that might not even be his name, but I think it's Jim Joyce was the guy that did that.
That was a heartbreaking scene.
Yeah, that was a tough scene.
We make a movie out of that.
Yeah, I don't think that guy ever really did anything since then.
How could
the Detroit pitcher?
Oh no,
no, I think that was kind of like the pinnacle of his career, unfortunately.
I wonder if he got the no hitter, if he would have moved on to better things.
Yeah, that's one thing you wonder about.
You're into baseball?
Not as much as other sports. I definitely wish I played it more as a kid growing up. Played it a little bit, but not as. I'm on the bandwagon when the Jays start to do well, but aside from, I'm just like everyone else in that sense.
100%. When the Jays are doing well in the summer, catch me on a couch 2:00 on a Wednesday. I'm there.
It's awesome.
It's the best. So much fun. I love the game. There's a lockout right now, though. Hopefully, I don't know what's going on, but
hopefully it comes back.
I have no idea. And they're good right now. That's the shitty thing about all this. Like, the Blue Jays are good, and now there's a lockout.
It's a part of pro sports. It's something that frustrating for the fans, but I mean, I hope they end up playing.
Yeah. I don't know if you're allowed to answer this. Hopefully you can. But have you heard any whispers of competition returning? I know practices are back, but have you heard anything about competition?
We get internal emails all the time, like, have your availability ready. Like, we're looking to ramp up and get going again soon. So I think after February 14th, some of the restrictions change, but I know as much as you do. Like,
okay.
I think the second half of February we're looking to get started again. I'm really hoping we get started again, but it's beyond our control, unfortunately.
Do you have like potential tournaments that you could be doing up in the air right now?
Not that there's a tournament. They might be having the Telus Cup in Cape Breton. I don't know if I'll be going to that or not, but that's part of what the early bird that you were up there for. They brought in a bunch of refs to kind of evaluate and assess and try and decide who they're going to take there. But again, that's 2 or 3 years that we haven't had that tournament available just because of COVID, right? So,
do you think the reffing development in Nova Scotia has kind of suffered a little bit because of these stop and starts? Not even reffing, just even
I'd say
everything.
At all levels, like on all sides of the game too, because there's nobody getting that experience for the past, or a constant experience, I would say, over the past 2 years. And I'm sure that there are a lot of coaches that are still working their kids hard and kids that are still practicing, but reffing's different. You can't really practice reffing, so.
I never thought of that either. You can't practice reffing.
No, trial by fire, and that's about it.
I never thought of that. You can't practice reffing. Refs don't have practices.
No. So, I mean, yeah, you definitely learn a lot and learn it through that aspect. But it's a learning curve. Still is a learning curve. Always will be a learning curve.
How many games have you done in one day the most?
Back in the day, you'd probably do like 5 or 6 like minor hockey games. Probably have done a couple more like in tournaments. I remember a couple years ago, I did 3 games in a day. I did 2 high school games, and they were 3-man at this point in time. I might have lined one of them, but then that night I did my first AUS game, and that was too much because I did 2 games already in the 3rd game that day, and I was just zonked by the end of it. And like usually it's mentally taxing than anything.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying it's a breeze physically, like you are a little bit tired, but mentally I find is what gets most tiring.
Well, you have to be watching everything. Your eyes can get tired before your head does, you know? You have to be looking around to make sure that there's no slash, no chippy shit.
Yeah.
You got to make sure.
You need to just be hyper aware at all times, and it is taxing for sure.
Do you have coffee before a game?
Always, pretty much.
Really? Black?
1 milk.
1 milk? Okay. That's
1
fine.
milk. My usually pregame snacks, coffee, banana, and PB&J.
Yeah, that's on par to.
I'm not superstitious at all, but definitely like the same process, same before every game. Like getting prepared the same way is what I should say.
How early do you show up to the rink before?
I like to be an hour, as much as I can. I always try to be an hour before and just kind of get settled in, and make sure you have everything. Forgot a few things along the time.
Have you ever forgot? What's one thing you ever forgot? Forget a whistle ever?
I think I forgot a whistle once in the room. Like you get out on the ice and just you don't have your whistle and go back in and get it. Definitely, this is funny. I was working a U.S. women's game earlier this year, and it was on like a Thursday. So early in the week I was doing laundry, and I outsmarted myself. I was going to wash everything. So I put my cup in laundry. You know what? I'm not going to wash that because I'm going to forget that or not put it back in my bag. So I put it in my bag and get to the rink, and I have like the holder, but no actual cup. And it's a AUS women's game, and I don't typically work that league. I'm the only guy on the crew. I'm the only guy in the rink that would need a cup. So I'm like, man, this is not fun. I mean, it's out of any game to forget it, it's the one not to do it.
Yeah. I forgot the cup. That's funny. At least you got out there and you got the job done.
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep your hands a little lower.
Yeah.
Every now and then. That's funny. No, I hope to be back in the rinks here soon and be able to see you at the rinks. It's always great to be able to head over to these rinks in Nova Scotia and just know everyone. It's a great feeling.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying in the intro about you. It's like, yeah, you're well known in the hockey community around here, and I'm starting to feel that love being in, we've probably been in the rinks more often than none for the past 3 years, and the relationships that I've made over these past 3 years of just being in the rinks, just even Zamboni drivers, refs, players, coaches. It's unbelievable what your life can turn into as long as you're in a rink for a good portion of your life, and
yeah,
you're not hearing any complaints from me. I love it.
No, it's a tight community, and it's something that I'm very fortunate and happy to be a part of, and something that I'm hoping we get back and keep doing it again. And you're right, though. It's a very tight community on all sides, even though we are on different teams and different levels of it. It's something that unites all of us, so it's awesome.
Well, what I was saying earlier, how about like if you're good to the reffing community, I'm sure the reffing community is good to you. It's the same thing on our end. It's if you're good to the hockey parents are going to be good to you, and that's, I guess, a rule of thumb we always try to put into every time we walk into a rink is, when we go in, we're trying to live stream, we're trying to work, and it can sometimes get annoying when things get in your way and you can't work, but you still can't let that thing distract you. You got to be nice to people, and you got to get the job done, and we find if we do that, like I said, the hockey world's good to us. We like it. It's fun. That's how we met you. I think it was like 2 years ago. We were at I think it was Jordan Boyd tournament.
Yeah.
I think that's when I met you for the first time.
Yeah, it would have been there.
Hopefully that gets back again. Well, I guess they did golf this year, which was a great time.
Golf tournament's always fun. We do like a referee one. We haven't done it the past couple of years because of COVID and whatnot, but normally there's only 3 or 4 of us together in one spot, right? So when you put all of us together in one common area, we typically have a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. When you have the boys together, a couple beer, it's a great time, especially in the rink.
Yeah, it's always a good time.
Plans for the rest of, I guess, I don't want to say the week, but leading up into February 14th, because if games do come back, or whenever games do come back, you got to be in game shape. Maybe you don't. I don't know. Like you said, refs don't practice. But keys to success when it comes back to game time for you?
I always go to the gym regularly throughout the week. It's something that I do it more for my head than for my body. It's always a good reset. Like I said, it's difficult because we can't practice. I would like to be doing more cardio and things like that, but that's not. I'm more of a weight guy at the gym. The only cardio I really do is reffing throughout the year, and then I've rollerblade a bunch throughout the summer. Like I got into that through COVID, I guess. Like didn't really have much else to do, so started doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just put in the work when you need to, and make sure that you're ready when the time comes.
Advice for any young guy or girl looking to get into your line of work when it comes to the ref game?
First thing I would say is learn to not take things personally. You can't take anything personally in this line of work because no coach is ever going to thank you for calling a penalty against them. And very rarely will a coach ever agree with your not to say agree, but they will never be grateful for a penalty that you call against them. So you have to learn to not take it personally. Learn that they're getting upset with the jersey that they're upset with what you're representing in the jersey you're wearing. I'd say that's one of the things, because if you can get past that, then there's so much more that you can stick with, and just be a sponge. Like, Doesn't matter what anyone tells you, take it for what you think it's worth and just be a sponge. Always ask questions. If someone's offering something to you and sharing advice with them, take it.
Okay. What do you think the biggest mistake is young refs make?
I would say that one of the bigger mistakes that people will often make is just not listening.
To who?
Some of the supervisors like trying to tell you something, or if someone like if you're thinking you're right all the time and you're not willing to accept and open your mind, and that's not just for ref fancy, it's for anything. If anyone's trying to share a different perspective with you, I think you should open up and listen to it.
I like that.
I don't see, if anything, if you're more closed-minded or if you're not willing to adapt and learn new processes and new ways and new perspectives, definitely limits you.
100%. Oh, I like that, especially in your line of work. There's so many scenarios that you're going to be in as a ref, so many. And if you listen to people that have already been in those situations, they can do nothing but help you. I'm assuming.
Yeah. You have a toolbox and fill it up with as much as you can. Whether you decide to use the tools or not, that's a different story.
I like that.
But try and take in as much as you can so that it's there if you need it.
I like that a lot.
And I'd say not just reffing, that goes day to day too.
Just life.
Yeah.
This guy's trying to tell me stuff every day. I still don't listen, but I'm joking. Do you want to say anything to anyone? Last minute of the podcast is yours. You want to thank anyone, say hello, pitch a product, but you got to pay me after. Do whatever you got to do.
I don't have any products to pitch. I guess one thing I will say is my Uncle Doug, he passed away in early January. And I'm not trying to be a downer or anything like that, but he was battling leukemia. And he got to see another Christmas and another New Year because of blood donations. So if you're out there and anyone other than my mom and dad are still listening to this, please, if you're afforded the health and the ability to do it, please go donate blood.
Awesome. Donate blood. I love it. Drake, thank you for coming in. I really appreciate your time. Like I said, we didn't flood, so we made it through.
There we go.
We're good to go. Everyone listening, today's Tuesday, right?
Tuesday all day.
But we're putting this out tomorrow, so Wednesday. Everyone have fun. Work hard. Drake, once again, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for the opportunity.
We are out. Peace.
Take care.
Oh, that was awesome.